All right, well, we are back, and I didn't record. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That's high. Wow, I can sing. Oh, man. Starting off's the hardest part, brother. 2 feet. I draw right here. New hat. I'm not going to mention that. This is a new hat. It's not a new hat. It's a bad hair day. Look, I can't wear... I gotta wear this thingy today. It's looking like a bird nest. I'm talking to nobody. I'm going crazy. It's 34 of these. Can you believe that? Man, it's been a month of these. All right, welcome back. This is Bible Time at Faith. This is episode 73,423,291,034. Just kidding. I think this is just 34. Well, last episode, we were introduced to this super cool guy named Onesiphorus. And what made Onesiphorus so distinct and so special is that whenever our friend Paul was, this is a prison, whenever Paul was in prison, there's Paul. All right. Onesiphorus was the guy who refreshed Paul, whether that be food, whether that be water, help from his physical pain and emotional pain, that Onesiphorus, that he was bold, that he was unashamed of being with Paul, of attaching himself to Paul. He took this bold stand, and in turn, he became an extension of God's mercy. And his name means bringer of blessing, and Onesiphorus was certainly that, because he brought such a great and such a profound blessing onto and for the life of Paul. And whenever Paul is detailing the quality of Onesiphorus' character, Paul is calling you and me to learn from Onesiphorus. You can't just listen. You can't just nod your head and go and say, hey, yeah, that's nice, Onesiphorus. Wow, what a cool guy right here. Paul wants us to look at this man's life right here and then look at our own lives. Are we people who look after and care for the needs of others? Are we bold and unashamed for Christ Jesus? Can people look at our lives and see God at work? In other words, let's pretend that this is you right here. And can somebody look at your life, and when they look at you and when they see things like love. They see things like a grace. They see mercy, and mercy there, I spelled it right, and kindness. And so many things, so many qualities and characteristics and attributes that they not only say, hey, there's something weird going on right here, but that they see the power of God at work through you. They should, and that was Onesiphorus. That the mercy that he extended to Paul pointed to an even greater mercy, namely the mercy of God. He made his life count because he used his life to display God at work. And in verse 17, Paul will further describe what made Onesiphorus so unique and special and such a prized friend. And in turn now, we will not only learn more qualities that are worthy of grasping a hold of and living out in our own walks, but now we can also be further encouraged by the life and labor of our very cool friend, Onesiphorus. And so, verse 17, let's get into it. But when he was in Rome, he persistently searched for me and found me. This is not a perfect illustration, but I think that this will help in the same way that, let's pretend you have a robber right here. Here's your robber, and we're going to give him angry eyebrows because he's a robber. And this robber has done what robbers do because he has robbed. All right? And here is our good guy. Here is a police officer, and the police officer is determined. All right? And he has his police officer hat. I don't know. Sorry, Heath. I'm not good here on the cop protocol. But so the robber has robbed, and guess what the cop does? The cop now pursues. And the cop's goal is to what? The cop's goal is to get and apprehend the robber. Right? He's not thinking about this thing or that thing. He is a man on a mission. He is a man set to search out and to find and to capture. And that the cop does this with diligence. He does it with deliberation. He's not dragging his feet. He doesn't let up. There's haste and there is urgency. This is an aggressive search. And also, the cop is not ashamed of searching because this is the right thing to do. And in a similar way, Onesiphorus searches for Paul. And it's similar because that is the goal. Onesiphorus, he has one goal, to find Paul. And this search is deliberate. It's diligent. It's done with haste. Onesiphorus isn't dragging his feet. He's not letting up. This is an aggressive search. And also, Onesiphorus is not ashamed. Why? Because this is the right thing to do. And look at this last phrase here. And found me. And found me. Onesiphorus doesn't just seek out, but he also finds. Because look, you can seek but not find. Like when I was a little kid and I would play hide and seek with my family, and they would try to find me, but eventually they would not. I'm not bragging. They would eventually just quit because I was too small and maybe too sneaky, but probably just too small. But Onesiphorus here, he doesn't quit. All right, he keeps searching and searching and searching and searching until he finds Paul. And in that, you see Onesiphorus' dedication and his devotion, because he's searching for Paul so much that it actually looks shameful for Onesiphorus. And that's what you see here with this word persistently. You can see this same word persistently in places like Luke 7. In places like Luke 7, verse 4, more specifically. And in Luke 7, verse 4, there is this Roman officer who has a servant. And the servant is sick and about to die. And so the Roman officer, he finds some Jewish elders and he sends them over to Jesus in hopes that maybe these Jewish leaders and these Jewish elders, maybe they can convince Jesus to now visit the Roman officer and then heal his servant. And when the Jewish leaders come to Jesus in Luke 7, verse 4, it says that they were persistently pleading to Jesus. Persistently pleading to Jesus. And in one sense, it's almost disgraceful, because here are these super important Jewish leaders, and they're begging Jesus for his help. And you never beg in this society. But they don't care about what they look like. They don't care what other people think of them, because they are set on this goal of getting help for the servant and saving the life of the servant. And in the same way, people might be looking at Onesiphorus like he's a crazy person. But Onesiphorus, he is set. He is fixed on the goal of finding Paul, and nothing is going to stop him. He is persistent. He is resilient. He leaves no stone unturned, even at the expense of his own reputation, because he is dedicated and he is devoted to the cause of Christ.
All right. Episode 34. This is Question Time with Tommy. We saw in this episode how Onesiphorus pursued Paul. He took care of him. He was not ashamed of him. And our question kind of has to do with that, of pursuing Christ. And what we want to know, well, actually, we're not going to hear. But what we want you guys to talk about is how serious are you about Christ, and to what degree have you searched for him? In our lives, we tend to search for the thing in the video game that you have to get, that legendary weapon or the gold item in Animal Crossing. I think that's a thing. I could be wrong. Is that it? Jared's saying, yeah, that's it. Okay, cool. We're good. So yeah, we search out for things constantly. And to what degree have you searched out for Christ? All right, that's it. We'll see you guys tomorrow.